Hello everyone, this is Sung Kim from Hong Kong. Today I'm going to talk about how to make Alexa skill set. So using example of Facebook. So the basic idea is that we do have a Facebook account, but the problem is we are too busy to go into the Facebook and read all the feeds, and sometimes we must leave comments, right? So this is a little bit busy, so we can really do every day. So what we want to do is that without even logging into the Facebook, we want to just ask this echo. Can you read my feed, right? Ask Facebook. Then this will read the feed for me, and then we just listen it, and then it's good. Then we can just even leave a comments. We can say good idea, then it will leave a comment automatically in the Facebook. So we don't have to really go into the Facebook, but still we can manage all these things. We understand what's in your feed, and then we can even leave comments automatically. So we want to build something like that. And in order to build this, we basically need just a simple 3 steps. First, we need to build the Alexa skill configurations. We have to define what is intent, what is slot, and so on. And then once we define that, we need something, some functionality, some function that can do some real job and then return something. This can be implemented using AWS Lambda. And then once everything is done, we just launch this app or called Alexa Skills, and then we can test it. So I'm gonna go over one by one. First, Alexa skill configuration. So basically, you can follow all these steps. It's coming from this web page. It's very nice screenshots. It looks like complicated or many, but it's not. Just following this. So go into the developer portal, and then you can say, oh yeah, I want to do make Alexa, and then here Alexa. You can select Alexa Kit, and then of course you're gonna start new, and then you name it. You name too. And then once you name it, of course, you're gonna press next. And then this is the most important thing. So you want to define the intent schema. So basically, what kind of a functionality do you want to have in your Alexa skill? So which is called intent. What is your intent? And then each intent can have data, which is called the slots. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. So in these cases, what we want to have is that basically stop intent, which is built-in intent from Amazon, and the yes intent and the no intent. So this is actually is happening when you're saying yes or no or stop, Alexa, stop. And then in our cases, we want to leave comments to the Facebook, so we want to define a user-defined intent called comment intent. And then in this comment intent can have data, right? So which is comment, and then type of this data is a simple comments. So basically this comment can be any string, right? But unfortunately they remove the string data type. So instead of having string data type, what we can do is that we can make your own custom data type, and then we can define a few strings, and that's it. And then you can just try to define these custom data types, custom slot type, and then we provide some sample strings. You don't have to provide a long list, just to provide a few. Then Alexa will understand if you say any string, oh, this is a comment, right? They can understand it. And then you can say add. And then last step is that you can provide some sample conversations. So here's sample conversations. If you say stop, and then this is stop intent, yes, yes intent, okay, okay intent, something like that. And then if you say anything like a comment, anything else will understand as a comment itself. This is the sample example. So basically use these ones to put the slots inside, and then you can define what is the intent. And then you can say next, and then last step is that we're gonna provide some functionality. Yes, once we have this intent, once we have this one, we're gonna call this the function, or you're gonna actually connect this ARN, and then it can be implemented using AWS Lambda, and they do real job and they return some value. This is how we're gonna connect, how we're gonna build the Alexa skill set. So several things I want to highlight. First of all, you have to give the name of the Alexa skill set, right? So once again, in the developer portal console, you can provide a name, and then here is invocation name. So which means that how you gonna call your Alexa app, right? You're gonna say usually Alexa ask, and then you're gonna provide the name of your app. So if I say Facebook, you can invoke these skill sets by saying Alexa ask Facebook. So if I name this one as a song, then you can say Alexa ask song, then it will launch this ones automatically. Then next step is that we gonna provide interaction model, which we define the intents and the slot. So this is actually one of the most important things in order to build Alexa skill set. So intent and slot, so we define something like that. So I try to provide some examples to understand what are intents and slot clearly. Let's say we want to make an appointment, and then we want to say something like that. Can we have lunch at noon, right? Then this intent, what do you want to do by saying this is called intent, is appointment. You want to make an appointment. Yes, I understand this, that you want to make an appointment. Then we need some sort of information about the appointment. We need some parameters about the appointment. Or we can say we need some slots for this intent. So what kind of slots do we need? What do you want to do? Lunch. When? Noon. These two are, we call the slots. Or if you can understand this one as a function, right? So what you want to do is that you want to do appointment function, and then with these two parameters. So basically, Alexa Echo can turn this sentence as this name of the function and the parameters. You can understand it this way as well. Another example. All right, we want to book a flight from Seoul to Tokyo. And then we can define this one as a flight intent. You want to make a booking flight, right? So you define this intent as a flight. And then we need some information for this intent, which we call the slots. Here, from and to, right? We need this information. Our case is really simple because everything what we said is entirely the comments. So we're gonna say what is intent. If you say any string, we're gonna say, oh, this is a comment intent. What is a slot? What is the parameters? And everything, right? This is a good idea. So this is how we're gonna define it. So here, data type is a simple comments. We can understand this one as a string. Any string is a comment, the value slot comment. And then if you say any string, this is comment intent. So this is one of the most simple intents and then very simple slots. And then once again, we define what is this simple comments. Basically, we want to say any string, right? So we provide a few strings here. Then we will understand, oh, if you say any string, this is comments. And then here, lastly, we provide some sample dialogues. So here, we're gonna say stop and stop indent and so on. And then lastly, if you say anything, comments, comment, this is defined in here, right? So if you have this slot, then we understand this one as comment intent. Basically, this line saying that any string, anything that you want to say, we understand that as comment intent. All the values, all the things you're gonna say is a comment slot. So this is how we're gonna handle these ones. And then lastly, in our Alexa skill configuration, we need to provide this lambda ARN, right? So we have to have something like that so that we can really do some job. So far, what we have done is that by setting this, if you're gonna call this Alexa by saying ask Facebook, Alexa ask Facebook, then it will create some JSON files including all the information, what is intent and what is session ID and so on, and then we'll send this to the ARN. And then hopefully this will talk to my Facebook account and get some information, and they will create another response as JSON format and then send it to the echo. Then this echo will speak based on this response. This is how it works. And then now we want to implement this part as a lambda. So you can do that. And then this is our step 2. So we want to build a lambda function. So once again, what we want to do is that we want to get some input JSON, and then we can create output JSON. So this code is written in Python now. So we're gonna get some information in the events, and then basically we're parsing this, right? We parse, what we're gonna do is this part of the intents, blah blah, and then we do some processing on it, and then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna generate a JSON file using this function. So field basically response, and then we're gonna say some attribute, title, output, the prompt text is it should be end session. Then based on that, it will make JSON and then return to the echo. So these two parts are sort of you can reuse from examples. And then what you want to build is that inside of intent. Yes, now we are intent. Then each intent, how are we going to handle this? So as we defined, we can have this intent name. We can parse from JSON. And then this intent name can be one of these, right? So it can be comment intent as we defined, or help intent, yes intent, or cancel, or stop, or no intent. Then based on this intent, we want to call the corresponding functions. So here, for example, comment intent, once we say something, right? I like it, or let's do it, and then they're gonna leave this string as a comment. So we're gonna call add comments function using this intent and the session information. And then here, help intent and the yes intent are special. So basically you're gonna say Alexa ask Facebook, and then we didn't say anything else, right? Then this goes basically help intent or yes intent. It means that we don't really say anything, but we just call this app, and the app, we have no idea what to do. Then we're gonna call this get feed. So you can understand this one as sort of the main function in C or main function in Java. So we just call without any argument, then main will be called, right? So this is the idea. So we just call Alexa ask Facebook, then this function will be executed. So that makes sense, right? So first we wake up our Alexa skill set. It will give us new feed, and then after that we're gonna say something will leave as that as a comment. Now let's look at how we're gonna implement each function. Get feed. First of all, once we call this get feed, basic idea is that we're gonna get, using this function, we can get the Facebook new Facebook new Facebook feed, and then the text will come here, and then the ID will go there. So one important thing is that, so we want to keep this ID, because next time if you want to leave a comment which is different session, then we need to know that which post we are working on it currently, right? So because of that, we want to keep that as context. So one of the ways to do that is that we make this one as a session attribute, and then we pass this session attribute in this function that we already showed you. And then this will be carried on to the next sessions, and they remember this Facebook feed ID. So basically it's JSON format, we just feed like this, and then we can just set as one of the parameters. And then the output text goes to speech output. Then we're gonna say new feed is blah blah blah, which is get from this Facebook feed function. And then reprompt is that if you don't say anything, so Alexa say, oh, blah, my feed is something, and then we don't say anything, then Alexa will give us more chance to answer. And then this is how we're gonna define, we call the reprompt text. And then should we end this session? No, we are continuing going on, right? So no, you're not gonna end, so make this one as a false. And then we just combine all this information and just call this function, and this function will make this JSON and then return to the echo. How about adding a comment? Adding comment is very similar. So we're gonna use this intent and the session. And then one very important thing is that we want to get this Facebook feed ID from our context, which is saved in the session attributes. So this is how we're gonna get it. And then basically session attributes and this Facebook ID, we get this one. If you cannot get it, there's something wrong, right? Because we don't have any post ID, so we don't know where to post these comments. So we're gonna provide some error messages. Everything is okay. What we want to do is that we want to get real value for the slot. We know that for the comment intent, we have a slot called the comments, right? So it's there. It should be there. And then what we're gonna get is that get the value. And then here, speech output, we're gonna just say that I added something, right, on Facebook ID. Now, after that, we really need to implement that having some function that really adds that in the Facebook. But this one just basically saying that, right? That's how we're gonna implement it. Very simple. So once we have this code, basically we put this code in AWS Lambda. How we're gonna do that? So you can follow these steps. Go to AWS console and then select Lambda, and then make sure that you choose this region and then create Lambda function. And Alexa, there are examples. You can look at it, Alexa, and then you can choose Python. And then you can follow these ones basically. This is basic Lambda settings. After you finish everything, including these permission settings, you can get the ARN. So this is the most important thing. So you can get this ARN and copy this one to Alexa skills configurations. And last thing I just want to highlight here is that obviously you want to, in the part of the Lambda configuration, you want to change the source code that we showed you. So you can just look at this part and then change this source code, and then everything will be okay. Then lastly, now we set the Alexa skill configurations and the Lambda configurations, and then we're gonna put them all together and then we test it. So the first thing you want to finish up is that go to developer console one more time and then put this ARN that we got from Lambda implementation, you just put here. And then we can even test that in our developer console. So you can select this test tab. And then what we're gonna do is that, remember we have two intents, two functions, right? One is called yes intent, so which is default. We just call this skill set, it will give us new feed, right? So we can call this one by typing yes, and then ask Facebook. And then you can see this is JSON created from Echo was sent to Lambda. And then you see this is a yes intent, which is correct. And then the Lambda will respond something like this, right? Text, new feed, and today's weather is very good. So which is get from Facebook. Oh, it looks good. Now, what we want to test next is that comment intent. So what's the comment intent? You can say any string, then which is not yes, no, things like that. Then it will recognize as comment intent. So here is the comment intent. So I agree is our comment, right? So we can just type I agree and then ask Facebook. Then you can see this JSON created from Echo. So here intent becomes comment intent, and then slot, we have slot, and the what's name of slot is comments, and then value is I agree. That's exactly what we typed or what we're gonna say, right? And then we're gonna paste it here, and then it says I added I agree, which we get from here, this value. So it looks like everything is working okay. Then the next step, either you're gonna just launch this one your Echo and then test it, or if you don't have Echo, you can go to this web page called echosim.io. You can just log in your account and then you can test it. So I will show you some demo here. So ask Facebook.
New feed, Let's Go for Lunch by Young Whack. What would you comment on it?
Good idea.
I added, good idea. Do you want to get next?
See, as you see, it reads a new feed, and then when I give a comments, it just put this comments. Yes.
New feed, Today is So Beautiful by Young Whack. What would you comment on it?
Yes, it is.
I added, yes it is. Do you want to get next?
So as you see, it reads this one, and then also it put my comments right there. As you see here, this Echo will read the new feed, and then if you say something, it will leave that as a comment into the Facebook directly. So this is working perfectly. So because of the time, so I didn't really go over too much about how we're gonna really connect to the Facebook using the Graph API. So which can be done very easily using this Graph API. Basically, you can read the feed and then you can leave comments. So I provide the source code in here. So if you can take a look at them. And then currently it's a little bit very simple, right? Basically read all the feed. But if you want, you can read the feed from a specific person that you care about, or you can only get the feed related to a specific topic that you might be interested in. Also, in this cases, I didn't really put too much error handlings, so maybe this program is not very stable. So once you make real Alexa skills, you definitely want to put as many error handlings as possible. And lastly, they launched the new functionality, new sort of thing they call the a skill builder. So which is very similar to Alexa Lex, which can you build intelligent ways to make intent and the slots. So you can definitely try out these ones. In summary, today we talked about how we're gonna set the Alexa skill configurations, and then especially the most important thing is that how we're gonna define these intents, what are slots, what are slot types, and then we're gonna provide the sample dialogues. And then we talked about how we're gonna set the lambda, right? So once we have these JSON files, lambda will process something and then return as another JSON file. So this is the lambda's job. And then lastly, we put everything together and then we tested it, and then we showed that everything's perfect. Thanks a lot for your attention.